Hello, and welcome to this Illustrator tutorial where I will show you how to rotate using the rotation tool and other methods in Adobe Illustrator. If I want to rotate something, there's a couple of ways that I can do it in Adobe Illustrator. So for example, I have the word rotate so we can kind of show you what we're talking about. First, I'll click on the object that I want to rotate. If I want to rotate more than one object, then I will hold the Shift key and click multiple objects at once. We'll just go with the first letter here. This also works for shapes and even if it's not editable type. Although in editable type you can only rotate the whole word, in editable type you cannot rotate the individual letters. These can be individually rotated because, as you can see, they've been created outlines and are now graphics. One way that I can rotate is by selecting the object, and when I see the bounding box, if I float my mouse over it, you'll notice that the black arrow changes into a bent, two-ended arrow. This means that I'm allowed to now rotate the object. So if I click and just start to move the mouse, it will then start to rotate the object to where I want it to go. When I have it where I want it to go, I can just let go. And then it rotates the object. If I hold the Shift key down and move my mouse, it will then rotate it in perfect angles. Another way that I can rotate is in my toolbox. If I look for the little spinning circle with an arrow on it, if I float my mouse over it, you'll see that that is the rotate tool. When I click on it, you'll automatically see that there is no bounding box, but you'll see this little crosshair. By default, it's going to place the crosshair in the center, meaning that when I start to rotate this, it's rotating it from the center axis. I can move that center axis by just clicking, and now it's up here in the upper left-hand corner so that when I start to rotate, it's now rotating it from that top axis. Let's go ahead and ungroup this for a second. And I'm going to click on my letter again. I can also double click on the tool and it will allow me to punch in the degree that I want. I can punch it in by hand or I can move it on the dial. If I click the preview button, it'll allow me to see how I'm going to actually rotate it. And then again, I can just kind of click on the dial and any point that I put will then rotate it and then show me how it looks. This is editable text. It means that it's one word and that I can highlight and change and edit the text. It's not outlines, meaning that there are no points around it and it is not graphics. This also means that when I use rotation, I can't rotate the individual letters when it's editable text. So as you can see, I can only rotate the whole word. If I want to rotate the individual letters, I have to create it to outlines. You can tell the difference because in editable text, when you click on it, a line will appear underneath it. This is your baseline. But when it's editable graphics, a bounding box will appear but no baseline. Don't confuse the outer edge of this bounding box as the baseline. The bounding box under editable text will have some space between the baseline and the outside of the text. And this is how we use the rotation tools in Adobe Illustrator.